I think a few important things were one, so first, just assess what the source is. Does that person have some sort of background related to that particular subject? Were they just doing some reading of their own? Something else that's very important, specifically when it comes to individuals online, is looking at credentials as well. So, again, going back to registered health professionals who are more educated on a subject, it's not just the education in itself. Something that I think is also very important is recognizing that those who are part of a professional licensing board also have specific standards that they need to abide by. So if let's say if someone doesn't have those rules that they need to abide by, they can play a little more fast and loose with things that they're promoting and not need to really worry about repercussions or anything. So just seeing what standards someone has that they need to follow when they are providing this information. Another thing that I think is very important is just looking at what kind of evidence that they're providing and where it's from. So, is there evidence from, is it a summary of some sort of peer reviewed sources? Is it fairly consistent with other sources? Or is it something that's more alternative? And if it is something that's more alternative, how is it being presented? Because as we all know, evidence changes over time for just about every scientific discipline and for nutrition as well. So is this some kind of like new research that's been published and reviewed, and maybe we're moving towards evidence changing a certain way, or is this someone presenting just an alternative thing on their blog where it's not really discussed or debated or reviewed through a kind of formal process? So I think those are a few areas that are good to start with when we're trying to assess what is more likely to be legitimate, what is more likely to be backed by evidence, and just what is likely more trustworthy.
Andrea, anything to add on that?
No, those are all really good points. The other part, I think, and the nutrition community and dietitians and things probably have a play is that there is a lot out there, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to work for that person or that it's not a good option to explore, even if it is coming across in maybe a more alternative route, or something that maybe is, the research is hesitant, is always, reach out to your health team, and have great conversations about it, because if it's not something that's harmful, if it's not something that's going to interfere with maybe something you're doing, then you've got kind of that support to try and see it through and see if it works for you. So I think that makes it just important, if you are seeing stuff, to just talk to your health team about it and explore the options, in a I don't know what the word is, but like in a supportive way, I would say.
I'll add a piece that's kind of an extension of both of yours. One thing that I find helpful that I always tell my clients to look for is what the motive is for sharing the said information. A lot of times, if you trace things back on social media accounts, pages, even blogs, you trace the steps backwards, and you usually find people are selling something, whether it's a product, a supplement, a plan, whatever else, whether or not they are a regulated healthcare professional. The fact that they're trying to sell you something alongside that information. Now, one could debate about like the difference between coaching services such as those accessible at Revive and something that's like you're pushing supplements as a potential solution for something that's in a blog or a post or a video that's highlighting a really colorful problem that people are having. And if, oh, look at this supplement that I also sell that could solve that for you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like that's a source of bias that in my mind is a bit of a conflict of interest, because if they're just providing said information and framing it in such a way in order to get you to buy something of theirs, as opposed to just genuinely being interested in helping you figure out how to navigate whatever topic, then obviously that's going to impact something. And now, obviously, regulated healthcare professionals, people that are trained and are educated in the field, are going to know how to navigate that and write accordingly, filter out their bias, all those types of things. But oftentimes, if you don't have that background, it's very difficult to do so. And, and it usually is quite obvious. in my mind, when you're looking at stuff.
And an extension of that, it's not always just selling a product, but it can even just be selling a lifestyle or selling a specific diet. Like there are some people who their career relies on promoting the same thing for like 10 years straight, even if the evidence there changes. And some of them sell products, but some of them also may just like sell books that are extensions of that same thing. It may be just like their blog that's an extension of that same thing. It's not always specifically a product.
True. Yep. Mm-hmm. Made me chuckle when you mentioned books there. I haven't moseyed into chapters recently, but I usually, whenever I went, even if I wasn't buying anything, I'd always like take a cruise through the diet book section just to see what was out there. Maybe turn a few covers around for fun.
There's a really great question in the comment box, which I think actually fits really nicely into this conversation because we haven't even touched on apps. Apps are another component to get people into whatever they're buying or selling. Oftentimes, they're not validated, evidence-based or research-based, and that's like a huge other piece that we haven't had to deal with before. Not in my oh my gosh, I'm not old, but not in my lifetime. Like not, later on in my career, this is now an issue coming up where before you would just walk into these places, but now they've got apps and things like that. So I think a program, and Brandon, you can speak on this or Premier will speak on this, is why we've been working really hard to create and promote our web-based program, My Viva Plan, because it was built by healthcare professionals with evidence-based recommendations and research to back that up. And that's there are not those kind of programs out there.
True. That's pretty much it. I mean, one of the huge components of it is to be a kind of one-stop shop for the information you need regarding nutrition, mental health, and fitness. And if you're already in there doing stuff, working on a nutrition strategy or plan of some sort, and you want information about a specific food or a specific strategy, then that's going to be a place to go. It's not as easy as it looks, but somebody's got to do it the right way.
And I think that speaks to the point earlier of how we as healthcare professionals can start to fill that digital space and get in there to be able to be a great solution for people and be kind of trusted and not lost in the fog and the 50 cajillion hits of nutrition that are out there on Dr. Google. So